you already discussed that mistake that people make, but what are there any others, like big mistakes that you see new resellers making that you always try to advise against?
Sometimes people don't want to hear what I have to say. I think it's getting too far out over your skis is the
What
phrase.
does that mean?
So I'm not a skier, but I've heard this phrase. I guess if your skis are too far out, you'll fall. You'll lean too much forward and fall. Right. You won't land
Okay, gotcha.
gracefully. Right.
Gotcha.
I love scaling. Right. Don't get
Right.
me wrong. Scale up is great,
Right.
but learning before scaling is important. So what I mean by that, I'll give another example. Is a few years ago, everybody loved fidget spinners.
Yep.
Right. They were hot.
Yep.
You could sell them for a lot of money, and you could buy them for really cheap.
Hmm.
So new sellers decided that they were going to buy some pallets of fidget spinners, and by the time they received them, the fad had passed, and they were stuck with a pallet of fidget spinners that they could not move, and they were out thousands of dollars.
Right.
I'm fine with them buying fidget spinners, but let's scale up and buy them small and see how we can do. And then if there's still a market there, go for it.
Right.
But that's not the first big purchase you should make. So what I always suggest with new sellers is items around the house, right?
Gotcha.
So items in your own closet, items that you're familiar with, that you've touched, that you have a history with, so you can describe them good.
Right.
Because the first thing you need to do on eBay when you're listing is title, descriptions, and keywords, right? And I know Sellhound is very helpful in that capacity. So when I'm first listing an item that I've had in my closet, like that football jersey I was explaining earlier,
Mhm.
I knew it. I could explain it. I know the color. I know the feel, the texture.
Right.
Those are things because I'm familiar with it. It's mine, right? So I can
Mhm.
do a good job of explaining it. It's a good test to get something listed. Then once you've sold a few things from your closet, you take some of that money back and you put it aside to reinvesting in your business.
Right.
And that's the money you then go thrifting with.
Gotcha.
And then when I'm thrifting and I'm buying stuff that I think people will like, but I'm unfamiliar with certain brands or styles or uh, colors or looks,
Mhm.
I come home and I try to list those items and I go, uh, blue t-shirt, bird.
Blue t-shirt with bird.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of bird that is. I could spend hours looking it up,
Right.
right? But if I send that off to Sellhound and I send a picture of my shirt and it comes back um, teal hummingbird in a nesting hummingbird in a tree, whatever,
Right.
beautiful description that I can never come up with, that's going to take my game to the next level, right? So now I'm going to be able to sell those thrifted items much faster. I'm going to sell those items much faster, which is going to then give me more money in my pocket quicker, which then allows me to reinvest in my business more. When I work with people who are in the financial coaching side, I love using reselling as a tool to get people out of debt or save for a goal because
Yeah.
they all have stuff around their house they want to get rid of. And it's
Right.
just money sitting there. So that's money that they can then put back into their budget to pay off their debt or save for a house or go on a trip or whatever they want to do. There's a lot of these, I don't sell a lot of women's clothing,
Mhm.
but women's clothing is very intricate.
Yes.
So I've noticed that when I'm selling a woman's shirt, or even if it's just like a t-shirt kind of thing or a workout shirt, there's I can't even imagine how many different types of sleeve lengths
Yes.
there are and,
Yes.
and names for them.
Yep.
Cap sleeve, ball sleeve. This I don't know. It's a short sleeve shirt. I have no idea. But that could be a big mistake if I list it under the wrong category.
Yeah.
That could open up a return if I say um, cap sleeve and it's a different sleeve than you were
Right.
expecting. I can get a return. So having
Right.
somebody that knows what they're talking about allows me to venture into different categories and then expand my uh, seller reach
Hmm.
to more customers because I can sell more products.
Totally. Totally. Is there a certain category that you feel you specialize in right now? Because I know you said you started in clothing. Have you kind of like focused on one, or are you everywhere?
So we did a lot of men's clothing and plush for a while when
And
we
fun?
started plush stuffed animals. Yeah, when we started thrifting, we did a lot of those because there was
Yeah.
cheap items, easy to flip, and you can make a good return on some of those, especially at garage sales and stuff. But I have, wish you could see the floor in front of me. just a ton of sports cards.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, personal collection. I've always sold sports cards.
Gotcha.
But that's for me my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I know product. I know what's good, what's not, what to avoid, and why I was saying earlier is like know your stuff, right? So if you know the stuff around your house, and then you start going to the thrift store, you sort of venture the things you know, but
Mm-hmm.
then using the on the Cellhound app, actually, I've used the fetch tool a lot,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I usually just used it yesterday to scan some video games in, and
Oh,
it
nice.
was giving me different marketplaces like Macari and
Mm-hmm.
Poshmark had some, and eBay, give me all the different marketplaces where these were selling. So even
Right.
if, like, let's say, Cellhound doesn't specifically do the entire listing for you, it's still a great tool to have as a price comparison tool to know if I should be listing on other marketplaces.
Right. I want to ask, was this always the goal for you when you first started reselling, when you were first getting involved in eBay? Did you always envision that you were going to be a source of knowledge for people, that you wanted to do the podcast that you have the Facebook group now and your whole business that's like coaching people on how to be resellers? Was this always the dream?
So source of knowledge is questionable, I would say. No, I think
I think you have a lot to offer.
so. My actual story was like in 2007. We did pet care for like 20 years. We did a pet care business up until the pandemic, actually. In 2007, 2008, when the market crashed,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
all
right. Yeah.
yeah, that big recession,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
we lost a ton of clients who stayed home. Their jobs were done, so they're home. They don't discretionary spending goes down, and we're out of job. So we found ourselves in about $370,000 in debt.
Whew.
Yeah, because mostly me, and I take the blame on all of this, is I lived the lifestyle I had when we were making money.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away. Still, credit cards are there for that and helps you
Right.
out and takes you through the time.
Yeah.
And then, we started getting calls from creditors and started getting calls from aggressive creditors, and then missed a couple payments on the truck. And then all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you hear what sounds like a tow truck driving through your complex, and you don't sleep, and you jump up thinking your car's getting towed.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep well for 2.5 years. I didn't get a good night's sleep because of that. I
Yeah.
was always listening for something that maybe I had to run downstairs and move the car, or drive it away, or
Right.
something was going to happen, right? And then we found Dave Ramsey on the
Okay.
radio. He's a financial debt guru guy.
Gotcha.
And the first call I listened to was him talking to a caller, telling them to just hang up on the creditors. Don't listen to them. They're scum, and all this stuff. I'm like, you can't say that to the creditor.
Oh my god.
No, no, no. And I felt like, okay, well, maybe there's something there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I could take control back, right?
Right.
Came home and told my wife about it. She came home the next day with all his books and signed us up for his 8-week financial peace course, which is a
Oh my goodness.
class to get out of debt and sort of manage your finances. I'm like, how did you pay for it? We don't have any money, right? So while we were going through the whole process of paying off all our debt, and we ended up paying it all off and being debt
Mhm.
free about 2 years later. Um, we felt as much as the course was there and everything else, alone. So not wanting to feel alone in the process for anybody else, I decided that I was going to flip gears and get into finance somehow, coaching,
Okay.
something, and help people walk beside them so they're not alone in the process that I was.
Right.
Somebody they can call and talk to. I didn't know what that was at the time.
So because you felt like you didn't have a support system, you wanted to become that support system.
Exactly.
Totally.
Exactly.
That's
And knowing how awesome I was at money, considering I was $370,000 in debt, I decided I needed to take some education. I needed to take some classes. So I got a certificate in personal financial planning from UCLA Extension, and then from
Wow.
there got my MBA in financial planning
That's awesome.
from California Lutheran University down south. And then I did some training programs and everything else. And for the last 3 years, I've pretty much been a full-time financial coach. And what kind of drove me into the reselling world is while I was using reselling as a tool to pay for my classes.
Oh.
That's kind of when that all started, was when with the football jersey and I got injured and everything.
Mhm.
Is I just started taking the classes then
Okay.
and started looking at the stuff online and joining the groups. And I realized that there was a lot of um, I don't want to say bad financial advice,
Mm.
but I'll say bad financial advice.
Yeah.
um, this is what sort of spurred this as well for me getting into working with resellers, is long-term thinking, right?
Okay.
So again, it gets to that fidget spinner situation, right?
Mhm.
People think in the here and now, right?
Right.
Especially in flipping and thrifting. They want their next big score, their next big thrift, the next big flip. They're
Yeah.
not thinking long term. So my goal was to start having them think long term. You have a business.
Right.
You're Joey's thrifting.
Right.
You're thrifting. That's what you are, right? So if you think like a business owner, then you have to think like a business owner.
Right.
What is your profit margin? What is your day-to-day cash flow? Are you making money? That's great. Now, what is your retirement plan? What does your estate plan look like? What is your tax situation?
Right.
Are you sustainable for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? A lot of e-com businesses are not.
Yeah.
There's like 90, I think it's 97% fail in the first 5 years. It's
Ooh.
a giant number, right?
Jesus.
And I think it's because they're hot, they flame out, they go somewhere else. If you're compelled enough to quit your job at the security that's there to do this full time,
Right.
then you have to think like a boss and a business owner. So in order to essentially replace your income, you have to make $70,000 in profit selling, which means you may have to make $100,000 in sales, depending on what your cost of goods is.
Yeah.
Can you do that day one of my new job after I quit, or do you need to scale up to that?
Right.
And it goes back to those 3 tips earlier. When you're taking
Mhm.
emotion out of it, be consistent and shipping consistently. Those are part of being a business owner and being
Totally.
proud of your work and being proud of who you are, and standing behind your product and what you're selling, and standing behind yourself, because you're the face of that business. Your name or your picture or your Instagram account or your store name, whatever, is you. You're
Yeah.
standing behind that. So you have to take pride in that stuff.
Totally. Right.
And then when moving into your retirement phase, is this something that you want to do to fund retirement
Mhm.
or to be fun in retirement? So there's a difference.
Right.
You have fun in retirement because you got all that other stuff taken care of early on. You put money in your 401k through your business.
Mhm.
You funded your retirement, and now you can have fun. Or
Right.
is it going to fund it, meaning I got to sell this pen this month to get the money to pay for my prescriptions for next month?
Right.
I don't want to be in that situation, and I don't
Yeah.
want anybody else to be in that situation. I want people to have fun. They
Yeah.
can get out of it.
Well, are there any final thoughts that you want to put out there that you didn't feel like you got a chance to get to?
I think it's good. If anybody is looking for help or just has a question or anything, feel free to contact me. My website is jrfinancialcoaching.com. My email is joey@jrfinancialcoaching.com. It's real easy. You could also send me a message on Instagram. I'm on there, pedaling away, as they say, trying to up my Insta game. So
And who are you on the
uh,
Instagram?
I am at JR Financial Coach
Perfect.
on Instagram. And on there, you can also, there's a way to DM, there's also a way to book a consultation and
Oh,
schedule an appointment on there too. And I do offer free consultations for anybody has a question. They can just set it up. It's a free 30-minute consultation. Help you answer some questions, and then special rates if we work together. If you mention Cellhound, how about
awesome.
that? I'll throw that out
Awesome.
there.
I love it.
So there you go.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today, Joey. This has been awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. I hope you tune in next time.